I said that Von killed K.I. What did you see the news report say when it came out? Von killed K.I. This my dog. This my mans. I was the first person that Von saw after he killed K.I. Spot on. The nigga just came off doing a hit and I seen him.
Like the final week of her life, you know, each day I was seeing something in her that I hadn't been seeing.
Okay.
You know, and I would ask her, what's wrong?
Literally like 2 minutes after police leave, fool hit the corner, throwing. Well, can't tell me the police ain't had nothing to do with that murder. Oh my dear homie, shorty. It's like motherfucker called the police on us. Made sure we ain't had no pipes on us. Then came and slid on us.
This is Gakira Barnes, a 17-year-old who thought she was untouchable until one social media post brought her enemies right to her. April 11th, 2014. She tweeted a photo on a porch in Woodlawn revealing exactly where she was. Barely 2 minutes later, 9 bullets ended her life in what witnesses say was calculated revenge. But before we dive into that fatal post and the years of violence that led to this moment, let me show you how a shy honor student became Chicago's most feared female gang member.
Call Shaq, boy, you let the back blow these bobber niggas like Osama.
Cray, my young nigga.
K.I., my young killer. A lot of niggas be rapping, but we the ones tote guns.
Gakira Barnes entered the world in Chicago's Woodlawn neighborhood, an area plagued by poverty and violence that would shape every moment of her short life. Before she could even celebrate her first birthday, her father was shot in the head with an AK-47 on Easter Sunday, 1997. Her mother, Chantel Brown, was left to raise Gakira and her 4 siblings in a modest home near 63rd Street and St. Lawrence Avenue, alongside her grandmother. This wasn't just a family tragedy. This was the beginning of a pattern that would repeat itself over and over again in Barnes's life.
Can you tell us the type of guy K.I.'s father was?
He was a decent guy, you know what I'm saying? He really ain't bother nobody, you know, unless somebody bother him. But, you know, kind of got caught up in that street stuff, you know, in his area and that little gang stuff, you know. Word was he got down on a nigga, you know what I'm saying, fist fighting. The nigga couldn't take the ass whooping, you know what I'm saying, came back blasting.
During her childhood, Barnes lost 2 more close friends to gun violence, embedding a trauma that experts would later link to cycles of aggression and gang-involved youth. But despite growing up surrounded by death and violence, teachers at Perspectives/IIT Math and Science Academy described young Gakira as shy, timid, and eager to learn. She showed academic promise, seeking help in challenging subjects like math, and her mother paid good money each year to send her children to prestigious charter schools.
K.I. was a sweet child. She always been like a tomboy though, because she had 2 big brothers. So if they was jumping off the roof, she gonna jump off the roof too, you know what I'm saying? Put on the Easter dress, come back in, it's looking like I got it from the rummage sale, you know, rolling around in the dirt. Like I say, jumping off garages, jumping over fences, you know. So she was real sweet. She was a sweet girl, but she was just kind of tomboyish.
But Chantel Brown also noticed something else about her daughter. Barnes was a tomboy through and through, more comfortable in Timberlands and button-up shirts than dresses and barrettes. Brown would later joke with her daughter, telling her she was a pretty girl but an ugly boy. It was an innocent observation at the time, but it hinted at the tough exterior Barnes would soon adopt to survive in one of Chicago's most dangerous neighborhoods.
I want to say maybe at about age 12, I started seeing like a change, you know what I'm saying? Change in appearance, change in the group she was hanging with, change in the music she was listening to. You know, a lot of small changes, you know, but when she was, you know, dressed like a boy, you know, put on, you know, or whatever, or start messing with females, I was like, oh, okay, so you trying to go this route.
By 14, Barnes had been introduced to a group of local boys affiliated with the Gangster Disciples St. Lawrence faction, also known as Flyboy Gang or FBG. This wasn't just any street gang. These were the STL boys, operating in a volatile 20-block radius near 63rd Street and Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, locked in a brutal war with their rivals, the Block Disciples from nearby Parkway Gardens, better known by its chilling nickname, O Block. At that same age, 14, Barnes faced her first brush with the law, charged with discharging a firearm. No weapon was recovered, witnesses recanted their statements, and the case was dismissed, but the incident had consequences. A judge ordered her to attend an alternative school at Cook County's Juvenile Detention Center, not as punishment, but supposedly for her own protection. The system believed she was at risk of retaliation amid rising gang tensions. What they didn't realize was that they were already too late. The streets had already claimed her. The year 2011 would prove to be catastrophic for Barnes and the entire STL and FBG faction. In January, 15-year-old Shondale Tuka Gregory was shot multiple times in the chest at a bus stop, killed by members of the Black Disciples. The neighborhood where he died was renamed Tukaville in his memory, and Barnes frequented the area, mourning with friends who had become like family. But the violence didn't stop there. In August 2011, 20-year-old Odie Perry, a Black Disciples member, was shot and killed. Street rumors immediately began swirling that Barnes herself had pulled the trigger, allegedly in retaliation for Tuka's death. Whether true or not, the Black Disciples faction renamed their territory O Block in Perry's honor, cementing a blood feud that would claim dozens of lives over the next decade. Barnes earned nicknames that reflected their new reality: K.I., Lil Snoop, the latter inspired by a female assassin character from the TV series The Wire. Law enforcement sources would eventually suspect her in 3 to 5 shootings, including at least one murder. But on the streets and online, the rumors grew far more extreme. Some claimed she was responsible for 15 killings, while others said 20. Community activist Andrew Holmes recounted families identifying her as a shooter or getaway driver in multiple drive-by shootings. He even saw photos of her wearing a CPK shirt, Chicago Police Killer, flaunting her defiance. Yet despite all these allegations, whispers, and accusations, Barnes was never formally charged with any of these crimes. Witnesses consistently recanted their statements, and evidence disappeared. In a city where over 70% of homicides went unsolved during that era, Barnes became a ghost in the system, visible to everyone on the streets but invisible to the courts. What made Barnes truly unique wasn't just her alleged body count, it was her gender. Women comprise only 10 to 20% of gang members, and female shooters are extraordinarily rare. But Barnes wasn't just operating in the physical world, she was building an empire online, and it would be her digital footprint that would ultimately seal her fate in ways no one could predict it. Between 2011 and her death in 2014, Gakira Barnes posted 27,000 tweets, amassing 2,585 followers, placing her in the 98th percentile for Twitter users at the time. Barnes had become a pioneer of what researchers would later call internet banging, a phenomenon where online posts don't just reflect street conflicts, but actively escalate them. Barnes's tweets fell into distinct categories: proactive aggression with threats like "I'ma kill you," reactive mourning, posts about the unbearable pain of losing friends, often accompanied by gun emojis and hashtags like RIP, and most dangerously, spatial references that called out specific territories and rival gang members by name, essentially painting targets on people's backs for the entire city to see. After Taekwon Tyler was killed by a stray bullet in June 2012, Barnes adopted the Twitter handle @TaekwonAssassin, vowing retaliation. When her close friend Rayson Lil B. Powderson was fatally shot by police on March 29, 2014, just days before her own death, Barnes's tweets surged with aggression directed at both rivals and law enforcement.
I think she took a couple hard L's, you know what I'm saying?
She lost
Lost a couple good friends, like brothers she grew up with. Right. And she kind of just like with that, she kind of was like, I don't give a like, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no more love. And, you know, she loved her family. But as far as being out there, it was like, I don't give a you know, whatever happened, happened. Like, and I used to be like, girl, I don't want to bury you. And you know what I'm saying?
Her mother watched helplessly as her daughter's heart turned cold. Chantel Brown tried everything. She attempted to get Barnes locked up. She took her to Hartgrove Mental Institution for 30-day evaluations and talked to her every night, warning her about the dangers lurking around every corner. But by 15, Barnes had developed what her mother described as an I don't give a f**k attitude, a complete detachment from the consequences of street life. What Brown didn't fully understand at the time, what perhaps nobody fully grasped, was how Barnes's online presence was making her a target in unprecedented ways, and Barnes had made herself extraordinarily easy to find. On April 11, 2014, Barnes posted what would become her final tweet, a photo of herself and friends hanging out on a porch in Woodlawn, just blocks from her home. It seemed harmless, just another teenager documenting their day, but according to later analysis, that single post may have broadcast her exact location to anyone paying attention, and someone was definitely paying attention.
Like the final week of her life, each day, I was seeing something in her that I hadn't been seeing.
Okay.
And I would ask her, what's wrong? You look like you lost your best friend.
Chantel Brown noticed something different about her daughter in those final days, a look in her eyes that suggested her soul was leaving before her body actually did. On that Friday afternoon, as Barnes prepared to leave the house, Brown felt an overwhelming urge to warn her daughter one more time. Don't stand on corners, hang out on porches, or gather in crowds. Brown didn't know it then, but she was saying goodbye to her daughter for the last time. Around 3:30 p.m., Barnes was walking in the 6400 block of South Emerhart Avenue with two friends. A hooded figure approached them, and witnesses later described what happened as methodical and precise. The gunman opened fire, unleashing a barrage of bullets that would leave 14 shell casings scattered across the pavement. Barnes was struck 7 to 9 times in the jaw, chest, and neck. Two young men with her were also hit, one in the foot, but investigators immediately recognized that Barnes was the intended target.
It's an ongoing war, and we don't know what for.
For Chantel Brown, the statistics are more than just numbers. Within 12 short hours across Chicago, 14 people were wounded, 2 people killed, one of them being Brown's oldest child.
I'm just going to miss her presence. She was a very, very beautiful, well-known, lovely girl.
17-year-old Jakira Barnes loved basketball, her friends, and being with family.
I love her, and I'm going to fight for her to have justice, because I don't think it's fair that we're losing our kids being gunned down every day in the streets.
It's still under investigation what exactly happened Friday afternoon in the 6400 block of South Eberhart, but neighbors say Barnes and a friend were walking along the sidewalk when a gunman started firing.
When the bullet hit her, it was so powerful she fell on the step.
Residents who do not want to be identified say Barnes fought to live, but had been shot at least 9 times.
In the jaw, in the neck, and in the chest, and in the leg. 9 times, they said.
Barnes was transported to Northwestern, where she died, and tragically for this neighborhood, it wasn't the first child lost to gunfire.
I wanted to cry because I had 2 children that had been murdered. So I know how that mother feels.
Jakira's mother and several other organizations have collectively put together a $10,000 reward for the person who brings forward the information that leads to an arrest and a conviction. This case is ongoing. No one is in custody as of yet. From Woodlawn, I'm Emily Flores, NBC 5 News.
Barnes fought for her life as neighbors rushed to help, the chaos of the scene unfolding in real time. She was rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, but the damage was too severe. At 5:43 p.m., just 2 hours after leaving her mother's house, Jakira Barnes was pronounced dead by the Cook County Medical Examiner. She was 17 years old. But here's where this story takes an even darker turn. Remember that police car I mentioned earlier? According to Chantel Brown, there was a police vehicle stationed at the north end of the block on 64th Street when the shooting occurred. Barnes had walked right past it just moments before she was gunned down at the opposite end of the same block.
When this happened, they come through, whatever, shots rang out. The police, you at the other end of the block. You know, Chicago block's not really that long. You can run down a block in less than 2 minutes. And it's like, how y'all ain't catch this person? He hit my daughter 7 times. He hit my daughter 7 times. He hit Butter 1 time. But he had let off more shots than that.
Brown's anger at the police response was palpable and understandable. How could officers stationed mere blocks away fail to respond quickly enough to catch a gunman who had just fired over a dozen shots in daylight hours? But nothing could have prepared her for what she would learn about the events leading up to her death. Just a week or two before the shooting, police had raided the block, and Barnes had been wearing one of those FCPDK shirts, Chicago Police Don't Kill.
Like, take that shirt off. She was like, I'm not taking nothing off. You know, they got down on her, take that motherfucking shirt off now, ooh, made us come up out her whole shirt. She ain't have on nothing but a bra, a sports bra. You know what I'm saying? Now she out there, no shirt on.
Brown went to police headquarters on 35th Street a week and a half before her daughter's murder, attempting to file a complaint about the incident. She was sent through bureaucratic runaround after runaround until she finally gave up. 1 week later, her daughter was dead. Even more disturbing, Brown revealed another incident where police had picked Barnes up and deliberately dropped her off in O Block, enemy territory, telling her to get out of the car. Barnes had refused, terrified, but the officers made her exit the vehicle anyway. She had taken off running back to her own block, barely escaping with her life.
Turn up. That why? They pulled the video. This Turn up! Turn up!
For 7 years, the question of who killed Gakira Barnes remained officially unanswered. Police had no arrests, charges, or public suspects, but on the streets of Chicago, everyone knew and heard the rumors. Everyone pointed to the same name, Davon Bennett, better known as King Von, a rising star in the drill rap scene and a prominent member of the Block Disciples from O Block. Then, in July 2021, Chicago Police Department documents were unexpectedly unsealed, and the street's worst-kept secret became an official record. The documents named King Von as the shooter, based on witness identifications that placed him at the scene in a gray hoodie and blue jeans, approaching Barnes and her friends, opening fire, and fleeing in a vehicle.
I said that Von killed K.I. What did you see the news report say? When it came out, Von killed K.I. This my dog, this my mans. I was the first person that Von saw after he killed K.I. Spot on.
But here's the thing that makes this even more painful for Barnes's family. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office rejected charges against Von, citing inconsistencies in witness statements and an inability to meet the burden of proof required for prosecution. And there was another crucial detail buried in the documents. Barnes's brother, who was present during the shooting, had allegedly told federal authorities that he witnessed Von stand over his sister and fire multiple times, also shooting at him as he fled. Yet even with an eyewitness, even with positive identification, the case never moved forward. King Von would never face trial for Barnes's death. On November 6, 2020, Von himself was shot and killed outside a nightclub in Atlanta, dying from his injuries. The man accused of murdering Gakira Barnes would never answer for the crime in a court of law. But the violence didn't end with either of their deaths. The feud between STL/EBT and O Blocks continued to spiral, claiming more and more lives. On August 4, 2020, rapper FBG Duck, real name Carlton Weekly, was shot 16 times in a brazen daylight attack outside a Dolce & Gabbana store in Chicago's Gold Coast neighborhood. Federal prosecutors would later describe the killing as part of a years-long gang war that traced its roots directly back to the murders of Tuka Gregory, Odie Perry, and Gakira Barnes. In January 2024, 6 O Block members were convicted of federal racketeering charges for FBG Duck's murder, each facing mandatory life sentences. And then there's the question of Barnes's friend, the person who was with her that day. FBG Butta, who has become something of a controversial figure in Chicago's drill rap scene through his numerous interviews. Butta was shot once during the attack that killed Barnes. hit in the knee with a bullet that shattered his kneecap and required an artificial replacement.
She's talking though. She's talking to me in cray cray. Now the whole block get to coming down there and shit. Everybody get to running down there and shit. Oh, bro. And I had to go. Cause I was on parole. And I had a parole one, so I'm like, man, I ain't going back to the joint shit. That shit over with. I'm finna go home and I'm finna have my mama to play doctor, but not play doctor, cause that's what she do. When I'm OG, fix me up, boy. I gotta get that leg back right now.
Butta has given conflicting accounts over the years about who killed Barnes, at times denying Vaughn's involvement, at other times confirming it. Chantel Brown has expressed frustration with his changing stories, particularly his decision to remain silent initially, only to speak out years later.
I don't care if you what they call. I don't care if you're a tattletale. I don't care. I done told on my folks too. It's gonna be me or you. Oh, it's gonna be you, cause I'm finna tell. I'm not finna go to jail. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's, you know, some people tell shit and lies and all that shit every day. You know what I'm saying? But my whole thing is, if you was gonna tell all this shit you told just recently, not just on the blog, but to these people in court on this testify because of this other shit, why you just ain't say that from the, why you was playing stupid in the beginning?
But Brown holds no grudge against Butta himself. She considers him like a son, someone who was tight as family with her daughter, someone whose mother looked out for Barnes when times were hard. She believes Butta may have even saved her daughter's life on other occasions. Her issue isn't with loyalty or snitching, it's with the inconsistency, the way information was held back when it might have prevented other deaths, only to come out years later when it was too late to matter. The most painful moment for Brown came in 2019 when A&E aired a documentary called Secret Life of a Gang Girl, featuring interviews with people allegedly involved in Barnes's death. The network hadn't reached out to Brown for the documentary. Her phone number hadn't changed in 15 years, but nobody had bothered to call her.
That had to tweak you out,
that
right?
Now, I ain't gonna lie, that right there, that part, it kind of pissed me off. Kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Because it was like at the time, a person was laughing about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, trying to act like they wasn't involved in it.
Brown believes the documentary was a setup, a ratings grab designed to get the alleged killer on camera discussing the case. The audacity of it, the complete disregard for her family's pain, left her stunned. But over time, even that anger has faded into something else. Not forgiveness exactly, but a kind of exhausted acceptance. This is what makes Chantel Brown's story so remarkable. Despite everything, despite the police failures, despite the unsolved murder, despite watching her daughter's alleged killer walk free and then get celebrated in documentaries and rap songs, Brown chose forgiveness. Brown has channeled her grief into activism, working on a book about her experiences and launching a podcast called Mass, Mothers Against the Street Struggle, featuring other Chicago mothers who have lost children to gang violence, including Mama Duck and Mama Tuka. 10 years after Gakira Barnes's death, Chicago is still grappling with the same issues that claimed her life. Social media continues to fuel gang conflicts, turning every post into potential intelligence for enemies. Young people still grow up surrounded by violence, trauma, and loss, with limited pathways out. And mothers like Chantel Brown still bury their children, wondering what they could have done differently. What do you think about this case? Let me know in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.